Hey everybody, David Nagel here. I want to welcome you to the Successful Mind podcast. Here's the title of today's podcast. If I just keep pedaling, things will come to me. Come on in and give this one a listen.
All right.
You're listening to the Successful Mind podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them. I'm David Nagel, and this is the Successful Mind podcast. Hey everyone, David Nagel. Welcome to the Successful Mind podcast. Title of this podcast is "If I Just Keep Pedaling, Things Will Come to Me." This is a quote by Martijn Doolaard, who wrote the book 1 Year on a Bike and 2 Years on a Bike, which I'm a huge fan of. And I've also been following his, well, it's not really a podcast, is it? I guess it's a YouTube show where he's renovating 2 cabins in the Italian Alps. To watch him is just poetry in motion, and what he's doing. It's just fantastic. It's a lesson on several different things. One, doing what you love. This guy has been doing what he loves for years, and outside of the boundaries and the judgment of other people. Now, I haven't talked to him. I'm working on that. I'm hoping to talk to him at some point, but I haven't talked to him, and I'm just watching what he's doing. And he made these 2 tremendous, he biked all the way across Europe. And then on a second journey, he went from Vancouver all the way down to the southern tip of South America on a bike. And he wrote 2 books about this. He's a brilliant photographer. His composition in photography and video is just extraordinary. The beauty that he brings to the page. He's not a wordy gentleman, but the words that he does say have meaning. Anyway, the point of this, you might be thinking, well, why are we talking about this? So the point of this is that it's obvious this guy's doing what he loves, and it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Now, we all know that the moment you go do what you love, you're just going to be people that care about, people that have an opinion on what it is that you're doing or not doing or whatever. And this guy's taking a soul path. It's very obvious to me that he's on a soul path. So as I'm sitting there and I'm watching this guy, I'm learning a tremendous amount just by observing what he's doing. I've gone through both of his books. I went through his YouTube 4-part video series on 2 years on a bike, which is great. And then he's got probably damn near close to 100 videos on these cabin renovations that he's doing in the Alps. And there's lessons in this that are absolutely extraordinary, but you need to be paying attention to see just how extraordinary they are. And one of them is the consistency in what he's doing. Now, I'm a person, if you ask anybody that works with me, they'll tell you that I do this deep dive thing. When I get focused in on somebody that I'm learning from, I go deep into what they're doing. And I'm probably on my 3rd go-around of watching his videos. Now, here's a couple things that I want to point out to you that I think are very important to understand. The consistency of his work, like I said, is extraordinary. He works 7 days a week for the most part. During the week, say Monday through Friday, he is in renovation mode. Now, sometimes he's renovating by himself, he's just doing the work by himself. And his video shots, not only are they beautiful in depth, scope, and composition, but if you watch something, because I actually started timing this on his videos, and I'm like, He's doing something that is working very well with the human mind right now. So if you're on social media, which everybody knows that I totally dislike, the things that are really popular are like TikTok and these reels and these clips. They're a few seconds, and people are wasting their whole life watching these few second videos over and over again. But it's tricking the brain in, right? It's giving a person a dopamine hit because they're showing you something wild and crazy and interesting for a few seconds, and it's on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So after my first time going through these videos of Martin's, I'm noticing something. I'm like, how he's constantly changing the camera angle. And so I started timing it with my phone. And it's about every 15 to 28 seconds. Every so often there's a shot that's a little bit longer. But he's working on something. He might be cutting boards or he might be putting stones on the roof, and the angle's changing every 15 seconds. Now, it's in a way where it's poetry in motion. Like, it doesn't feel jaunted. It doesn't feel dislodged. It's a beautiful they're beautiful transitions. And it keeps you watching and interesting. And so another thing that I've done is I've read some articles that people have been writing about this guy. And one of the European articles that I read was, it's like, why is this guy so big, right? Like, he's got people, like 500,000 people are watching his videos every week. What is so interesting about this guy? It's like watching paint dry. That's what one of the European articles said. And the reason is because it moves very slow. Like, what he's doing, his overall renovation and how he's working with things is very slow. Sometimes he has volunteers that go work with him for a week or a few days and help him, and he'll get some bigger stuff done. But the rest of the time, like I said, he's just on his own. So I'm thinking to myself, after I read this article, I'm like, yeah, that is interesting. How is it that he's keeping people's attention when this really is moving slow? Like, if you weren't interested in what he was doing, you probably could get bored very quickly, except for the fact that the view that he's doing things in is consistently changing. And so I picked up on this, and I was watching it, and that's when I started timing his videos. The clips, the segments. And they're like, he does them for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and every 15 to 28 seconds, he's changing camera angles. And they're changing and changing and changing. And it's bringing you, and I thought to myself, this is taking a person through an experience. It's not just watching this guy do something, but he's actually taking you through an experience. And he's doing things masterfully in these videos. One is that he's in one of the most beautiful spots on the planet. He's in the Italian Alps, and the shot from his camp where these stone cabins are that he's rebuilding is gorgeous. I mean, just to sit there. One of the most beautiful things in his videos is that this guy will sit there and he'll have his meal, right? He takes you, like, he cooks his meal, and then he sits down at the stone table that he built, and he just looks at the beauty. So you get a camera shot from behind, and it's showing you the Alps and all these different animals and different things that are going on. So I'm thinking, if somebody was just staring at this just for a minute, especially through a TV or a computer, how boring would that get? There's something else, and that's when I picked up on how fast he's changing these shots. So it's working. I think it's working the same on a person's brain as it does for like Reels or it does for TikTok or something, because it's very interesting what he's doing, and the shot changes are on a regular basis. You don't have time to get bored at what you're looking at, and he changes it again, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So let me just back up for a second. This guy's doing what he loves. He's taking people on an adventure that most people don't get to go on in their life. I've watched a lot of these off-the-grid YouTube shows to see what is it that people are finding so interesting, because over the last couple of years, they've blown up like crazy. Everybody and their brothers building a cabin, so-called off-the-grid someplace. But what this guy's doing is a bit different than every other one that you've actually seen. He's tapping into something ancestral within everybody. But when he was talking about it, one episode, you have to forgive me, I don't remember what episode it is, but you'll find it if you get into it. He's talking about how he works. And he basically works from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. And he talks about how he works through that day. Like he'll talk about in the evening, when it's starting to get dark, because the sun sets, he's on the kind of the north side of the mountain. So as the sun starts to set to the west, the sun gets behind a mountain about 3:30 in the afternoon. So he starts losing light. Well, come around 5 o'clock, it's starting to get dark. It's starting to get cold. And he referred to when he was biking across the continents, that he would prepare his mind to work in the dark. He would say, I feel like just getting some food and going in a tent and getting warm and just shutting down for the night. But he would go through this ritual, changing what he was wearing, putting his headlight on, having something quick to eat, and then getting his mindset in a different place for a different challenge. And then he would be like, okay, now we're going to work at night. Now we're going to do this at night. So a lot of these videos, you see he's actually filming himself at night while he's working. And of course, the lighting that he's come up with is exquisite. I mean, it just makes it makes it so romantic looking to watch this, to watch him do this. Anyway, the consistency. So 9 to 9, Monday through Friday, and then he's actually creating and putting the video together and rendering it on Saturday and Sunday so that he can post it once a week. And he posts his videos on Sunday. But here's the thing. This is the thing about it, that like the beauty is one thing, doing what you love as a great thing. Like I think everybody should be doing that. He's not concerned with the cost of it. What's definitely most important to him is the journey, right? It's the adventure that he's taking himself on. He's very big into one day at a time. Like, let's just bring one day at a time. So there's a quote that I took out of his book, 1 Year on a Bike, that says, if I just keep pedaling, things will come to me. And I thought, well, that's brilliant. That's it, isn't it? If we just keep moving forward one day at a time, if we just step one day at a time into our future, everything will come to us. Now, if you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know that I'm a big believer in following God's spirit or the universe. Like, what is it that's being brought to us? And how does that show up? How it shows up is that you have to be willing to make a decision and take an action on a daily basis. You have to put yourself into your purpose. Now, don't start going, well, I don't know what my purpose is. No, you don't need to know any of that, right? That's way too confusing. That stops people. You're always in your purpose. You're just not always conscious of what it is. But if you move through it, it will become apparent to you over time, I believe. Anyway, the idea is that you make a decision and you step into whatever it is that you have to do for that day. Stop thinking about what you have to do tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now or 6 months from now. Just focus on the day, because to be able to hear God, you have to trust God. I was teaching, every morning I do a program called the Elite Mind 90-day program, and then I have another one called the Elite Mind 365 program, which is all year long. And people usually start off in the 90-day program. And the basis of the program is built upon the principles of one day at a time and consistency, and doing something in an order that allows you to get a result and allows you to keep tweaking the result till you get it masterfully. So you're mastering basic principles in your life. We live in a world where things are changing so fast and so frequently that it becomes difficult to absorb whatever it is that we're doing so that we can learn something from it, to even think about what it is that we want to do tomorrow. But see, I don't think that we have to subject ourselves to that. In fact, I think that it's time that everybody start doing the opposite. Stop letting the world, kind of encroach on your front yard, so to speak, and start pushing back to the point where, hey, you know what? I'm going to start doing this my way. I'm going to do what I want to do for me. I'm not going to be pulled into all these crazy visions and ideas that other people have that are not part of what my my journey is. And I think that's one of the things that's brilliant about Martin is that he's obviously doing the thing that he loves, that pulling it at his heart. The other thing, so he's got this consistency thing going, which is allowing him to master things. Now, here's something that I haven't said yet that's important to know. He has no skills in any of the things that he's doing. He was what was he? It'll come to me. It'll come to me what his actual profession was. I forget what it is, but it'll come to me. But all the things that he's doing, these adventures that he's taking, he's starting off knowing nothing. And he's learning one step at a time, one day at a time. And in that process, he's learning to master things. Now, as you watch these videos of him, you see him learning. You don't see him like studying on the internet or figuring out how to square or frame a deck or, something like that. But you see him actually do the work. But he talks about how as he's done this, people have given him ideas. You see when he makes mistakes. You see when he gets frustrated. You see that when he has a vision of something and it doesn't necessarily work out and it has to change. But he doesn't quit. He doesn't blame. He doesn't get all anxious. He just continues to move forward with one thing at a time. And like he might work on the cabin one day, and then halfway through the day, he decides to stop working on the cabin and he starts working on a chicken coop, or he's working on a deck, or he's building a fire pit. He's consistently moving. And I'll tell you something else. I've never really seen one of these shows where the person has to literally create some of the tools that they're using because some of the tools that are needed can't get up the mountain. Just getting the things that he needs to the place on the mountain where these cabins are is a chore in and of itself. The road is very narrow and it's very steep. You couldn't get a crane up there. And it takes 5 guys to lift one of these stones that's part of the roof that they're building these cabins with, because they're all built out of stone. They're built out of like this flagstone or something that's just all over the mountain, and they're over 100 years old, right? And he's redoing them, but you can't lift the stone by yourself. And like I said, it takes like 5 guys to be able to get the stone off the ground and up to the top of the cabin, or take it off the top of the cabin to redo the roof and then to bring them back up there again. So in a couple of episodes, he literally has to build a crane. He has to figure out how to build a crane where he can lift the stones off the ground to put them on the roof. The tenacity that it takes to do something like that. I mean, I love to go, I've done a few podcasts where I've said before, where do you stop, right? When something gets difficult, or you're having a hard time with something, or you're getting maybe pushback from people that you love, where is it that you stop? This guy doesn't stop. I've been extremely impressed with whatever the next step is what he actually does. He's figured out how to deal with the rain. He's figured out how to deal with feet of snow up there while he's living in a tent in order to redo these cabins. He's had to figure out power and solar and how to keep that going in the wintertime and when it's cloudy and snowy and rainy. I mean, he literally has had to figure out every single thing that he's doing. Water, a shower, food, the whole thing. And you might think, well, a lot of people have to do that. Yeah, I think a lot of people choose to do stuff like this. More and more, we're seeing it. But I'm very impressed by the way that he's doing it. The idea of consistently working at something every day until you master it, taking one day at a time, enjoying the beauty of every single thing that this guy is doing. If and when you watch it, see if you notice this. In order for him to get the shots that he's getting with the video, he has to see the beauty in the shot that he's doing. So let's not forget, all he's doing is renovating cabins, right? I mean, like if we go from the most simplistic idea, he's just renovating cabins. But in order to create the video for the show that he's doing, he's not just renovating cabins. He has to find the beauty in everything that he's doing. He finds the beauty in building an outhouse. He finds the beauty in his chicken coops, his little chickens that are pets that he acquires over the time that he's there. He finds the beauty in some of the tragedy that happens while he's up there on the mountain. Every shot, which turns out to be about every 15 to 28 seconds, he's got to find the beauty. That means that this guy has tuned his eye into being able to see the beauty. And I've done a lot of study on that over the years. It's as the people, we have held beauty, and I'm not talking about like the beauty companies and makeup and all that. I'm talking about real natural beauty in the world, and the idea of a beautiful perfection in our mind, beauty and love. It's one of the highest things that human beings hold in esteem. To be able to see that, to do that, to be able to take care in that, for it to be a value for someone. We have a value in our company, and it is one of the values is look for the elegant solution. There's very few things out there that I see where a person is doing what they love, doing it in a way that is beautiful and full of love, and doing it in a way where it's elegant. And they're still doing it in a way where it's actually a business for them, because there's no question this guy's got a great business that he's doing because of how he's actually doing it. And he's doing everything in an elegant way. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to do more on this as we go. I wanted to give you just a little snippet of what I'm seeing. Give it a look, and leave us some comments. Let us know what you think of this. I'd be really interested in hearing what your perception is of it and how it changes your life, because I think watching this definitely could. All right, I'm out of here. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you on the next Successful Mind podcast.
All right.
Hey, thank you for listening today to the Successful Mind podcast. There's some real food for thought here in this one. So I'll just kind of leave you with this. Are you doing what you love every single day? That's a great question. Something we should all think about. Have a great day.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind podcast. If you like what you heard and you want to learn more, go to lifeisnowinc.com. I'll see you next week.